Greetings. Welcome to the Red Hot Mic. Yours truly, G. Alfred Palmer here. And I'm so glad to be with you one more time. I really am. I was thinking about, I forgot my pomegranate juice, but that's okay. In fact, let me get this. I'll be right back. I like having my pomegranate juice. All right, we're here. It's the Red Hot Mic. Welcome. Come on in this house. Nice and warm next to this fire. I guess the weather is getting better, so we don't have to, it doesn't have to be as warm, but it's still inviting, isn't it? To have that fire. So it is the Red Hot Mic. I am G. Alpha Palmer. I am your host, and it's time for us to ruminate. It's time to elevate and to activate. I love being able to do that with you here on the Red Hot Mic. If you would do me a favor, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for future uploads from the Red Hot Mic as well. Well, you see the title, so let's get to it. Now, you also see scrolling at the bottom of the page, you also see our contact information. And please, you can get with us on Instagram, Patreon. You can get our Gmail address. You can also get our website. Contact us, please. We'd love to hear from you. Well, it's another day and another dollar. But so here we go. We're going to get busy and let's go with this, and we'll be right back.
In our current global climate, we're facing challenges never before experienced by this generation. Oppositions where no one seems to have clear directions or answers to the risks facing us. Confrontations like racial and gender unrest, political gerrymandering, toxic leadership, economic crisis, global pandemic, health threats, pre-existing medical conditions, isolation, boredom, and loneliness are driving people to desperation. As a result, people are confused, afraid, anxious, and perplexed, and they need answers to some tough questions and even tougher situations. They are looking into different outlets for answers to gain assurance and consolation. Some have drawn closer to the embrace of family, while others look more towards their friendships, education, and even religion. What we need is a fresh voice of truth and clarity, and not a stale religious echo from the past. There's a re-emerging voice on the horizon that isn't afraid to stand alone and give spiritual and mentally sound direction to a world searching for answers. G. Alfred Palmer offers a voice of sound human development and empowerment to those willing to hear. There's a need for new ideas to old principles, a perspective from a timeless origin, but with current vision, a thought leader who understands what it means to stand alone and speak truth when some are hard of hearing. But if you've been waiting to hear a voice that opens the gates of freedom and breaks the shackles of confusion to allow you to step forward into the dawning of a new and exciting future, then it's time to bridge the gap with Dr. G. Alfred Palmer. He is a dynamic speaker, thought leader, and entrepreneur, equipped to elevate, expand, and extend the development, empowerment, and leadership of his audiences. He stands ready to speak at your next event. His delivery is guaranteed to refresh, entertain, and transform. G. Alfred Palmer bridges the gap from uncertainty to the purpose, to passion, and leadership. Book him today for your next event, and you won't be disappointed.
Back. We're back. We're back. Listen, I'm so glad to have you with me tonight. I'm just really been thinking about tonight's message and what's been going on. And so we're gonna get to it, but first, as we always do, and homage to the transitioned Kevin Samuels. We spend time to honor and give homage to him and to recognize him as an individual that made a difference in the lives of many people, not just men and women. So here we go. We want to do our sin of the evening, which is Paco Ramon, and it's called Invictus. And I like to say it, and I just got it for the holidays. It looks like a trophy. Looks like a trophy. So I love the smell. I love the scent. Let's see if we can. I just got the box here. Let's see if it has anything in it that we can talk about. But it does smell. It has a clean smell to it. It smells really clean. It smells like something that you can wear either to work or to play, if that's what you want to do. It is a very clean. I would say it's probably more of an outdoorsy, but like water, like the sea and all that kind of stuff. It smells like that. It smells open. It smells fresh. And it smells really clean. So check it out. And before we get started with Kimberly, here's a toast to you. And again, it is pomegranate juice. Our sin of the evening, or should I Kimberly of the evening, is mahogany teakwood intense. Mahogany teakwood intense. Woodsy smell. Smells outdoorsy. I don't know what it is about outdoors, but I love outdoors. So it is a very clean as well. Woodsy, kind of leathery. It does have the mahogany, and it does have the teakwood, so you get the woodsy smell. But I enjoy both of those. But so those are our sin of the evening, and I can't really in homage to Mr. Kevin Samuels. So, as we always do, it's time to switch it over. And when we switch over, it's time for us to get into our most, relaxed. I like the relaxed feel vibe that it gives. It's the answer wheel. And the answer wheel, as you know, is our opportunity to allow the universe to answer, to give us some guidance in whatever situation you may find yourself in. And what we do is we allow the universe to give us that answer to that question, that query that you can't seem to find the answer to. So here we go. And what we do, as some of you that may have been with us, we add it to our stream so we can see the answer wheel. And what we do with the answer wheel is that we'll give it a turn. And once we give it a turn, it has 6 answers. It has no way, definitely. It has maybe, yes, ask a friend, and try again. And what we do with that is we use our faith. That's what we do. We use our faith to believe that the universe can use anything to answer us if we can only believe. So if you believe that this is hogwash, you're right. It is for you. But if you can believe that the universe can use anything to answer you, then that's true too. So this could be you can believe the means you give the answer. So we always give the answer a little light turn. And what we do with that is we allow the answer to hopefully stop. Sometimes it doesn't stop on one of the answers, but and so we just give it a turn again. So hopefully tonight we won't have to do that, and we'll just be able to just do it one time. You might want to add pomegranate juice to your drink regimen. It's a great antioxidant, and it allows your body. It helps in oxidization, and it helps you to when the answer wheel is coming to see how it did that. It looked like it was going to stop somewhere, and look, it stopped right in the middle. It does that sometimes, so we give it that. Oh, I didn't even give it that much. But anyway, but yes, it's a great antioxidant. You want to add to what you drink, and it's tasty. I like the taste of it. It has a kind of pungent taste. It's refreshing, especially when it's cold. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna try it again and see if the answer will gives us an answer tonight. It did it again. It's never done 2 times in a row. It's never done that. That is amazing. I don't know what to say to that. I'm gonna give it one more chance, and if it doesn't do anything, we're gonna move on with the show for tonight. But it's never done that before. 2 times in a row. There's some lights in the background. There you go. There's some of that. Yeah. Let's see what we get this time. Hopefully we get something. Well, we finally got an answer. And the answer is definitely. Definitely there is something that you should do. Change that you should make. Definitely. What I like about definitely, and I've shared this several times before, the thing I like about definitely is that it gives us a very direct, emphatic yes. It's even more emphatic than yes. So yeah, it's something that you could almost guarantee. You can rest assured and be confident that definitely the universe is saying to you that whatever it is that you've been wondering about, definitely. So that's our answer to this. So I'm really looking forward to this particular topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. And you can see it in the you can see the topic that we're going to be talking about. And I think it's one of those things that has to be really addressed because Deon Sanders needs to be I guess brought on the center stage. I mean what he's done, and I'm not talking about from a sports perspective. I'm talking about from a parental perspective. He has done some things, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. Before we talk about Deon Sanders, I want to talk about some other things that I think that are very, very important that we need to talk about relative to parenthood. And not just parenthood, but namely single parenthood. A lot of people don't like the idea of statistics, data, information, but it is those concepts that has made this country great. It's made us pioneers. It's made us the people that would take and make a challenge against and go against all odds. We have always been the type of culture that would challenge the status quo and move beyond um, and, and do some things that seemed impossible. But it's all based on information, statistics, and data, and not on a feeling, emotions. Now, emotions and feelings have their place. Don't get me wrong, they really do. But at the same token, feelings and emotions are not something that we are to base our life on, because emotions, feelings change from moment to moment, from minute to minute, from hour to hour, from day to day. So uh, we can't bank on that being the source of our culture and how to progress as a people, as a nation, and as a culture. So it's important that we understand that. Um, so I'm going to be presenting some statistics in line with the topic, um, because we need to address Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, as he's called, and get some things out there that I think that are important. Now, one of the things that we've got to really deal with is when we start talking about single parenthood. One thing we need to understand is that the U.S. has the highest rate of children living in a single parent household of any nation in the world. About 80% of single parent homes are led by single mothers, at a rate of 23% of children living with one parent and not with the other, just with one parent. So, what does that say? It says that in the United States, we do not have families. See, now I hear people talking about single families. No, that's a household. It's not a family. A family consists of a father, a mother, and children. That is a family. What we call families really isn't a family. It's a household. It's a clan, right? It is not a family. And it's because of that we've accepted things, and we've contaminated truth with feelings and with conjecture to satisfy the lacking and the the inability to meet certain criteria. We change the criteria for us to be able to meet it. It happens even in the military. There's allowances made for females who can't lift certain weight. There's supposed to be a certain amount of weight that you're supposed to be able to lift. But this country has gotten to the point where we have made concessions to change the weight in a lot of different ways. This is just one example. We've changed the weight so that it can satisfy the whims, the emotional satisfaction of those who, by and large, cannot meet the requirements. So what we do is we change the we move the bottom line, right? We move the finish line. So when we talk about families, single parent households, when we talk about America, the United States leading the world at 80% of single parent homes led by single mothers, what does that say? That says to me that, and it's not a put down of our mothers. It's not. It's not. What I'm really talking about is I'm talking about maximize masculinity. I'm talking to men. I'm talking to men about about males how to rescue our boys. See, boys, males, and men are not the same. And so what we've got to understand is when we start talking about single family homes, we're not talking about, for the most part, we're not talking about men unless something happened to allow the cause the family, whereas maybe the wife or the mother has been deceased, has become deceased, has transitioned. And then if that's the case, once that happens, okay, we're still talking about a household, and what hopefully the man will do, will remarry, but hopefully that doesn't have to happen. There's a difference between remarrying because of a mate transitioning and someone just tired of a relationship. Um, that those two things do not match, do not coincide. When we have a, a couple that is together, um, rearing their children together. See, because a mother and her daughter, and a father and his son, has a unique bond that cannot be equated by any other bond. So when you have the mother and the father together, you have a bond that can't be broken. But what we think is, we think that the mother is key, but we're going to find out some things a little later that may change the way you think about um, who is the key one as far as importance in the household. So often we've been made to believe by the media that the most important person in the home is the mother, but we're going to see some other things as we go on. But listen, another thing I want to talk about relative to the United States is that in the United States, we stand over three times the world average. And the world average is about, well, our average, I think, is about 7% of the children that are raised by one parent. Now, for a reference, considering other countries, when we look at, um, there's only 3% in China, 4% in uh, India, and 23% in America. What am I saying? That America stands over three times the world average of children raised in single parent homes. China, 3%. India, 4%. And we are at 23%, almost 1 in 4. Almost 1 in 4, practically. 1 in 4. And that's saying that 1 in 4 of our children are being raised by one parent. Now, why is that important? Because a child is missing some developmental components that the other parent helps contribute to that child. Why do I say that? Well, because no matter what parent you're raised by, you miss the other parent's contribution that can only be brought by that parent. Because if it's your mother missing, then as a woman, there's certain things she brings to the table that you have to learn from a feminine standpoint. It's that you have to learn how to understand feminine nature. And the best way to do that is through your mother. Now, if the father has been deceased, there's statistical information that says that the father is very, very vital to the rearing of the children. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So it's important that we understand that single parenthood is detrimental to our culture, not only to our culture, but to the world. It is very, very important that we understand that if we're going to um, see things change in our community, culture, and clan, what we've got to understand is we've got to do some things differently than what we have been doing because it's been really, really poor what we're doing in our community culture and clan. So it's important that we make some changes. Now, another thing I want to mention is that um, even for fathers, with if you have a father in the home, what happens in so many cases is that they the statistics say that when a father is in the home, even when the father is in the home, the father and the son, especially among school aged boys, they only spend about 30 minutes a week with their one-to-one conversation with their father. One-on-one, 30 minutes a week, right? Now, that same boy, on an average, spends about 44 hours a week watching television or playing video games or surfing the internet. So, what does that say? That says, as fathers, it's time for us to unplug our boys from the internet, from the video games, from the television, and for us to do some things with them. Do some things. Get out and talk to them. Let them hear and feel your heart. Let them grow to know you. Let them grow to ask you questions, and you ask them questions so that you can develop a relationship with them. I as a therapist, I see a lot of different people, and I do see a lot of boys. And what I'm seeing now, as it relates to our boys, I'm seeing boys that are lost. Invariably, they are lost, and because they're being raised by females, and you can tell that they are missing masculinity in their lives by their gestures, by the way they talk, by the way they think, their mentality, the values that they hold. They don't understand masculinity. They don't have um, a role model in their life. I've been talking to some groups of men. Most of them are recovering from addictions or have been incarcerated, and I've been sharing the importance of them being with their sons, being with their children, but especially with their sons. We're losing our sons. We're losing our sons because they're not knowing the importance of having muscularity, of being able to lift and being able to move and to traverse and do the things that masculine uh, nature is supposed to do, and not. eh, One of my mentors, Dr. Miles Monroe, has always said that everything about uh, a a boy, a male, and a man is about initiation. It's about penetration. It's about lifting and moving and traversing. It's nothing about receiving. Receiving is a feminine quality or concept, not a masculine. So it's important for us as fathers, as men, is to begin to grab our sons, get their attention, if they will allow us. Now, sometimes some are in a situation. I've talked to some. They don't want to talk with men. They have been so indoctrinated by a feminine mentality. They resist the masculine voice. They dislike masculine voice. They come against masculine voice. And that's because they haven't been reared with a masculine voice to grow accustomed to the masculine voice, to the masculine mentality, and to the masculine mindset. So it becomes earthly important for us to get in the lives of our boys and our males as men. Now, another area that we have to talk about, that is a real problem in our community culture and clan, is the whole issue of homelessness and runaway and runaway teens or children. And 90% of our runaway and homeless children, 63% of them commit suicide. Yeah, over half commit suicide. If your child has ran away, go find your baby. Go find your son. Go find your daughter. Whatever you have to do, go find them. They can be found. They can be found. So 63% of the 90 that run away commit suicide. 85% of the children and teens, they have behavior disorders. And they come from a fatherless home. Why? Because fathers bring discipline. If they're men, we have examples now where they're not men, they're males. They're alpha males, they're beta males, they're delta males, but they're not men. And so we have males that succumb to the influence of their masculine, non-feminine mate. And she has shown to be the head of the home. And as a result, the children either come under the guise of her leadership, or they run away, or they become homeless because they can't find their way. They're confused. They need help. And it's our job, men, to help our children. To help our children. If you're not helping your children, if they're children, okay, we're not talking about adults, we're talking about children. Our job is to go get them. Our job is to go help them as much as we possibly can. Okay. Now, another area that's very important relating to fatherhood with his daughter is this, that when it comes to sex, roughly 70% of teenage pregnancies come from females that were raised in fatherless homes. 70% of teen pregnancy. 70. 7 out of 10 come from a fatherless home. Why? Because once again, if you have a man, he's establishing boundaries. He's not letting her do things that she wants to do. He provides protection for her, discipline, boundaries for her. And so she learns the role of a man is to guide and protect. Okay. Now, 70% of teens' pregnancies come from fatherless homes, but that's a big number. That is a really big number when we look at 70%, right? And what do we do with that number? Well, what we have to do is we have to take it one step at a time. One step at a time. You've got to go get yours. You've got to go get yours. Now, the other part about this 70%, okay, is that a large number of these same females, these girls, have significantly higher abortion rates than females raised by both their parents, a father and a mother, or with just their father. And that's what I wanted you to see. The role of them just having a father. If children have just their father and not a mother, they can experience the same amount of success as having two parents. So it's more important for children to have their father in the home than it is to have their mother in the home. And I know you're not going to like that, but it's the truth. Statistics prove it out. So statistics also say that on a whole, fatherless kids are 20 times more likely to get arrested and 11 times more to exhibit violent behavior. So what are we saying? then these children need to be in a two-parent home or in a home with their fathers. But I'm not a proponent of just fathers. I'm not. I'm a proponent of two parents. I am an agent of binary. I'm proponent of binary. I promulgate binary, not singularity. Binary. Okay. Fatherless kids also are 20 times more likely to be incarcerated and 11 times more likely to exhibit violent behavior than children that were raised by two parents or with their father. We talked about that earlier. So the importance of having a father in the home is undescribable. It's undescribable. There's another phenomenon that we're dealing with right now in our community, and that is cohabitation, shacking up, boyfriend moving in. Okay, now when we start talking about cohabitative relationships, 1 out of every 6 kids are stepchildren. Now, what you need to understand is about stepchildren is that a child that's a stepchild will never be reared the same way by the step parent that then the original parent will raise them. Now, I'm talking about the average. See, what we have a tendency to do is to look at the exceptions. I'm talking about the rule. The rule is that, you can see that in the wild. The parents of, and especially mammals, will take better care of the mammal or the offspring than a step parent would. So in the law of averages says that the parent, the biological parent, will always take better care of a child than a step parent will. So 1 out of every 6 children is a stepchild. 1 out of 6. So that may not seem like a lot, but it is when you start adding up the numbers. We have a lot of children that are in a step in a cohabitating relationship. And when we start talking about stepchildren, there's a lot of things that can happen in a home when there are stepchildren and step parents there. A lot of things that we don't want to talk about that occur. Criminal acts, sexual promiscuity, sexual violation, criminal violation, things that are occurring in the home, and we've got to better take care. And that's how do we best take care of that? By the parent being in the home. By the parent being in the home. Now, it's important to understand this, that 4 out of every 10 cohabitating, shacking up couples have children together. Okay. Now, of the children that's born in by that couple, only 4 out of the 10 will eventually marry. 4 out of 10 will marry. Okay. 4 out of 10 cohabitate, and only 4 out of 10 will eventually marry. And of those that marry, that 4 out of 10, half of them will get divorced. Or I should say, not only get divorced, but that their divorce rate is 50% higher. So what we're saying is these cohabitating relationships don't last. So I'm saying this, as much as possible, fight for your family. As much as possible, fight for your family. Fight for your children. I was talking with a man, I believe it was yesterday, and he was talking about, and again, this man was a man that was incarcerated and had a drug problem, clean now, and now turning his life around. And he talked about the importance of his children and his children being his legacy. And that's something I don't hear a lot of people talk about. Our children, men, our children is your legacy. Your children is your legacy. And it's important to understand what your legacy is. It is you remaining a part of you in this community, culture, and clan, in this sphere we call Earth. You still leave your influence, your mark. Okay? And that mark is your children. It's your children. Now, in addition to what I was talking about, um, absentee fathers and not only I should say not absent stepfathers, and that the divorce rate is 50% higher. It's also important to understand that when we have these cohabitations or these shacking up situations, 20%, 20 to 25, 26% of the absent fathers live in a different state than their kids. So they live in a different state. They don't even live in the same vicinity of the children. Now, why that happens, hard to say. Is the father moving or is the mother moving? It's hard to say. I'm going to guess, for the most part, it depends on employment kinds of things. But I'm going to guess that most of the time that the father is going to be the one that moves. The father is going to be the one to move, and a lot of times it's to get a fresh start and to move away and get a new beginning. Whereas in many cases, the mother stays put because there's a lot of connection there, connection for the children, connection, employment connections, family connections, and other social connections, and that so forth. So chances are the mother is going to stay put. The father is probably going to relocate. And I don't think that's a good thing, because in relocating, that makes it tougher for you to have a relationship with your children. It's important that you have a relationship and not just here and there, come hither, come there, every now and again. It's important that you have a relationship and you spend meaningful time with your children and be located near them. And it's one thing I remember them saying about Kanye West, that he moved around the corner from his children because he saw the importance of him being in the lives of his children. He being in the lives of his children. Some people will criticize Kanye West. Some of the things Kanye West, and I'm not saying everything. I'm saying some of the things that Kanye West has done are very on point. But I mean, we're not going to agree with everything anybody does. We didn't even agree with everything that our parents did, right? But the chances are you're going to agree more with what your parents do and say than anyone else that you come across. And as they help you to glean and grow and guide you through the things that come in through your life, it becomes important that you understand the importance of your parents, especially fathers in this time in which we're living. Okay, the next thing I think is important to understand is that 40% of children who live in fatherless households haven't seen their father in at least a year, maybe even longer, but at least a year. And that's a lot. And so it becomes important for you to understand your legacy, gentlemen, and the importance of your legacy is important. It can not, I cannot overemphasize it. I cannot. And when we start talking about cognitive outcomes and how children learn and how they mature and how they how they develop, it a higher level paternal involvement, and improved father-child relationships throughout adolescence, especially throughout adolescence, is associated with a lower level of delinquency and a better psychological well-being. So, you know, when it comes to the 8 areas or elements of developmental masculine development or uh, feminine development, the role of the father is critical. It is critical because it especially through the child rearing years and through adolescence, especially with sons. And you know why? Because sons start getting bigger, they start getting stronger, they start getting taller than their mother, and that same influence that she had, she doesn't have anymore. Now, between males, there's always the threat of violence. And it's that threat of violence that keeps a boy in check when it comes to his father. Some of you think his mother has the same ability. No, she doesn't. She doesn't. Not when he gets to be in adolescence. Not when he gets to be a teenager. No, she doesn't. The threat of violence is something that keeps a child in line. That's why the biblical narrative says, that if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. You have to, and that's that threat of violence. That's what it speaks of. I'm not talking about beating your children, but it's talking about that threat of violence that always keeps that child in check. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I was reading recently about a study, a national study that was done, and where they took about 1,200 fathers and showed, what they showed is that a father who shares meals, that spends leisure time with the children and help them with their reading and with their homework, that the kids do better academically than when a father is not available or when their mother helps them. A father has great responsibility, great guidance in helping a child grow. And I'm not saying that a mother's not important. I'm keying on you, fathers. I'm keying on you. Now, one of the things that, I don't know if you've heard of, but Prime Deon Sanders, Coach Prime, however you want to call him, has demonstrated what single parenthood looks like. He's involved in the lives of his children. He works with his children. He disciplines his children. He supports his children. He fathers his children. And so in our modern culture, some would say that Deon Sanders is kind of old-fashioned. He doesn't give his children the opportunities to be themselves. I don't see anywhere where Deon Sanders, Coach Prime, is not allowing his children to be themselves. In a matter of fact, I believe he's helping them to expand themselves. And a father will do that. But a father will also protect his children. So it's important that we understand Prime is an example that that modern parenthood may not like, but needs. That's right. And he's showing how to rear and how to mentor boys right now at the University of Colorado. So if you want to understand how to better mentor or be there for your children, check out Prime. Check out what he's doing. His videos are on YouTube. Start looking at what he's doing. And there's other men out there that are doing similar things. Okay. All right. Well, that's it for our time this particular session. But I want you to know that underneath we have uh, our information that you can get in touch with us with. You can contact us. I mean, the information is scrolling across the bottom. So our information relative to our, our email address, you can get in our Patreon. You can get into our website. There's a lot of information. So check us out. So I appreciate you coming and spending some time with me. Um, come back, come back. But if you would do one favor for me, I would ask that you would do this: like, subscribe, right? Hit the notification bell for future uploads, so that we can continue to grow and to spread the message. And the message is, right now we're talking about maximized masculinity. Maximized masculinity. Maximized masculinity. That's what we're talking about. Till next time, G Alpha Palmer. Peace.
Running around like I don't know directions. Wasting my time with too many reflections. Yeah. And since you've been gone, I've been trying to fix me. And I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm getting there.